A moment, the wild card finds redemption. ROFLCOPTER. Oh, surely they won't go down like so many others before them have. We've seen teams that have been fighting all year long for this chance. MHLFO, Kira Esports, Sharper Esport, and of course Bliss fell in the APAC South. ROFLCOPTER, will they be able to make it through at least to a third map?
That is something we will have to wait and see. They are going to have to dig deep here on Villa. And again, these bans, nothing too surprising at this point. And ROFLCOPTER finishing off theirs again. Valkyrie, solid ban on Villa. So much info gained from those cameras. And look, it actually came up in previous conversation today about the disappearance of IQ. You know, if Valkyrie was in play, you would almost always see an IQ broad, or it was always at least an option. But these days, it is just few and far between IQ picks.
The thing is, there's just so many operators that bring more versatile util. It's like winning IQ, you get the scanner, which is great. It's not perfect. It tells you where things are. It doesn't disable them. But you don't have the Gon 6, you don't have grenades. If she got any explosives or anything like that, she would absolutely be more in the meta, but she's just not really worth it these days. Wildcard starting on defense. We saw how strong they were on defense just there on Coastline. Only dropped a single round. Now they're on Villa, which is a much more defender-sided map.
Protect your bombs.
I can't help but feel like Wildcard starting in a severe advantage here.
Definitely feels that way, and also they are the ones that really are bringing that momentum forward from map 1 in the series. So look, definitely could be deadly. ROFLCOPTER, they aren't particularly well known for, I guess you would say, solid mental fortitude. Now, it's always hard when we talk about that with teams. It appears sometimes certain teams collapse and struggle to have comebacks and that kind of thing. I definitely can't think of a lot of moments where I felt like ROFLCOPTER were really strong at turning a high-pressure situation around to be theirs. But look, ready to be proven wrong here. This is their map pick after roll, so you would like to think, as we like to think about Wildcard with map 1 on Coastline, that there must be something that they have prepared for this to give them the confidence that this is the map they really wanted to go with for the BO3 series.
Step by step for ROFLCOPTER though, get back in this game. This is their map pick, so let's see what they've been cooking up for us. Looks to be a very study-centric start to their push, however. Boydie potentially going to go downstairs. A lot of map control to take. You can see the drones come out in droves down on library side. Wildcard player no doubt spotted. That's Milo. Boydie starting to... Oh, nice. He opens a little rotation for the drone to go through.
Like that, save a little bit of time there on that efficient droning, and they're going to spot Milo. He's the one lurking in around library. Now, you would expect that there is potentially some vertical holes to help support him. So while he is actually there physically alone, probably is having some cover, and it looks like it is Imarin backing him up, holding a nice vertical angle into mud, I would say that is from the angle he's laying at. And this is going to be a little bit difficult for ROFLCOPTER to manage. I don't think they're going to be able to really easily flush him out. Boydie opting to hold the angle, and this is it. They're just straight pushing in. Milo comes out with that first pick. Unfortunately, it looks the wrong way. Wedables trades back, and that's potentially a bit of a dub, I'd say, for ROFLCOPTER at that point.
Yeah, getting the trade's nice. OJ going down, I mean, not too much until you're going to miss yet. Zephyr's got a lot of it, but it's okay. Not the end of the world. Next thing ROFLCOPTER going to have to turn their attention to, however, is Pat, who can burn a lot of time here with his gas babes on the brown stairs or the main stairs. He's got the shield as well to prevent a push from Study. He's even got assistance from Geo. No doubt stacks of util as well. So Wildcard have a really strong position. Vinny as well. That is such a nice shot. ROFLCOPTER have a lot of work to do.
That's definitely going to put them back into a bit of a corner there. 3v4. You see them all kind of stacked around. They have not been able to flush Pat out of the position. So much utility dedicated to dealing with this. And Pat can certainly try and hard hold the peak of the stairs as long as he'd like with this shotgun. And 30 seconds left. Gonna be tough for Ruffle now.
Interesting.
Oh, yes.
Very cool.
15 seconds. Attackers recover the bomb.
Well said from Pat, I must say.
10 seconds remaining.
All right, well, there are players currently trying to have gunfights as the round is about to end. This is what my rank games look like.
Yeah, unironically though, right?
I did say to Rob that we were going to try and be as professional as possible, didn't I?
Look, I feel like we have more cause. Like,
we have
surely
a valid
everybody
excuse.
at home watching as well probably had very similar reactions to us. Look, we're just being human about it. But look, we're gonna get a pause at least here, Dev, and we'll figure out what's going on.
Yes, interesting. So look, that was a fun round. I mean, I can analyze basically everything that happened up to the last 30 seconds, but I don't think I want to comment on anything further than that. Yeah, look, to be honest, I think Wildcard ended up winning that round. They should have won that round, to be honest. Like, it was a 5v3. They had strong positions. So, if we're honest, like, if you just cut out the last 30 seconds of that round, I think that the scoreboard reflects how that round was probably going to go anyway.
Yeah, look, I tend to agree. It definitely felt like Wildcard had done a really good job in the early phase of the round. It really felt like Pat, in particular, was in such a strong position on those main stairs. Look, maybe he would have got traded, but it still would have left a 3v1 or 2v1 situation at that point. It would have been really hard for Wildcard to have lost it out. And look, it's a really good opening statement, I would say, faith that they could come back here on map 2.
Absolutely, we're back in the game. And not to throw you under the bus or anything, Raven, but just because I know someone on Twitter or in Twitch chat is going to call you out. It was actually Kira, not MH. That
Oh my god, it was too.
That's all right. It was, I think it was the Last Dance play MH. If I got that wrong, then someone can correct me. But there you go.
Yeah.
ROFLCOPTER certainly coming in with form, right? Like you said, already won 2 BO3s. Looking for a third one here, but now they're going to have to reverse sweep, as Wildcard have already won the first map in the series. Now, Wildcard on the favored side. This is ROFLCOPTER's map pick. So Wildcard chose to start on defense, where they're feeling very comfortable. And even though the first round was arguably somewhat skewed by the lag and the server issues we had at the end, it was pretty clear that Wildcard was on ticket to win that round. And the admins made the call that that result would stand. And whatever the ref says, that's what we go by.
Yeah, like most sports, I guess, right? But yeah, look, Wildcard, it was a great round one from them. They looked solid, and it was going to be an absolute scramble for ROFLCOPTER to try and bring that one back. But they get another whole go at it here, and it was only one round, the first round at that. So still plenty ahead for them to bring this back. Wildcard, I do feel like they're in a bit of a favor being on defense to start off here. But look, ROFLCOPTER, it's their map pick. You would hope that they are feeling some essence of confidence with these attacks.
I should hope so, and you can see OJ made his way up the main stairs. Pushing towards 90, good map control for ROFLCOPTER early on, but a lot more to get. It's often a big question on Villa, do you go for vertical or horizontal pushes? Yes, you can do a bit of both, but the thing with Villa is just it takes so much investment to take map control, doesn't it? So for now, ROFLCOPTER looking for a horizontal push. By that, I mean that, well, the objective itself is on the second floor on the north side, so ROFLCOPTER start on the second floor on the south side and gradually push across. Of course, the concern there is at some point they're going to find themselves choking up on those single doorways into sight. They're going to need some pressure from elsewhere. So when they will rotate and have maybe one or two players go to the master balcony, we'll have to see.
I guess the idea there too is to make enough noise on site once you finally get through to it that the off-site players below have to try and retake. They can't actually hold any solid verticals. Now, you can see there are a couple of wildcard players holding down below. Their angles are being watched very tightly right now by ROFLCOPTER, but no one's made a move. We've got just over a minute to go. ROFLCOPTER have progressed very close to Statue, and Immorin looks like he's going to aggress beautifully. Does down Kakin at least, can't confirm. But it's going to have to make ROFLCOPTER pull back and just regroup for a moment.
Down but not out, now revived. Kakin's back And ROFLCOPTER have done a good job clearing out that Vulcan shield, really exposing the positions. Wildcard completely forced out of stat now. Still players below, like you alluded to. ROFLCOPTER are now indeed putting their pressure on that master side. Milo's in a pivotal position here. Oh, that is such a nice angle from Pat down below.
Is very nice, and ROFLCOPTER are going to have to be a little conscious of that. But here they go. They start to burst through sight, found that opening. Wildcard under a bit of pressure here on this execute.
But here it comes, Pat. He's got to land these shots. There are 3 players. He's already used his C4, so that will not be assisting him. But Milo comes to his aid, as does Geo. Now it's a retake. ROFLCOPTER have just OJ left. And I say that, I jinx him, and he falls to the ground. The plant down, but not enough cover. And Wildcard can very happily mop that one up.
Defenders have disabled the bomb diffuser.
Yeah, look, it was a beautiful weather of the storm there from Wildcard. ROFLCOPTER, they did get that map control nice and early, did set themselves up to do that horizontal take straight to site. We only saw 3 Wildcard players on that site, but they did a really good job not letting ROFLCOPTER get control. They stuck to that vertical play. Pat in particular, very instrumental to stop that extra gun of being able to monster those on site. And again, Wildcard have come out victor. So starting to get concerning for ROFLCOPTER for sure. There's a lot of rounds in a row for Wildcard. They're continuously carrying this momentum, even after the long pause that we've just kind of experienced.
ROFLCOPTER certainly need to break this momentum that Wildcard have managed to sustain for not just the 2 rounds this map, but of course, map number 1 was a 7-3, and at the end of that, they've won 2 in a row. So effectively, Wildcard have won 4 rounds in a row now, which doesn't sound like that much, but if you rephrase it to Wildcard have won 9 of the last 9 of the last 12 rounds, that suddenly sounds like quite a lot. So ROFLCOPTER certainly need to break that momentum, get their heads into the game, and if there's any bomb site they're going to be able to do that, it should in theory here be the tertiary bomb site choice of Wildcard dining.
Yeah, I think that's certainly starting to be the site that feels like another solid kind of defensive site. I'm trying to think of a better way to explain that, but you know, you often see a lot of teams actually go to kitchen dining first and often do a really good job of holding that from the get-go. So I don't know, I still think this is definitely going to be tough from ROFLCOPTER. They are going to probably have to favor vertical this time around, because this is a much harder one to kind of execute that horizontal push if there are players above with some nice lines of sight for default plant spots.
It's very true. That said, we're seeing more and more teams these days just look to take like library living control, bit of pressure pantry, bit of pressure laundry, not necessarily going for that full top clear. But that said, ROFLCOPTER are entering the same side of the map that they have entered every single round so far. They love starting at study. OJ top of main stairs. We've seen this before, haven't we? Boydie, though, does move down into library and start pressuring living. That's where Geo is residing at the moment. So we see the first bit of contest as Geo shoots out Boydie's drone.
So yeah, a really pivotal first 90 seconds to 2 minutes here for ROFLCOPTER. So they're going to have to try and find themselves an advantage. Otherwise, it might be quite difficult. They're still putting pressure in through library living, but there is nobody there. No one home for Wildcard in that area. So this is already a bit of a time delay as it is. Was Geo, dropped down the hatch, and you can see now he's rotated all the way back to kitchen. That puts 3 players pretty much on site for Wildcard, 2 still remaining in the vertical spots.
Wildcard pretty comfortable though. Don't feel the need to make any sudden moves. 3 players on site, that leaves 2 upstairs. An interesting bit of hard breach. Oh, Emo surely is going to deny all of this. Oh no, he misses just the last bit. So a tiny hole will indeed open up, and funnily, the explosion actually does destroy that electric claw. Unfortunately for Emo, that means now Hotshot's going to have the... Oh, now Emo's tracked another one down. I think he's going to catch this one as well. Jeez. Oh, the man's juggling the electronics like nobody's business.
Oh, but OJ, he's finally gone aggressive onto Milo in this top floor position. Found that opening pick for ROFLCOPTER. Only got 45 seconds left to really continue this momentum. Find something on site. OJ was taken low in that engagement as well. And Vinny still elusive on this top floor. So by no means is this execute going to be smooth for ROFLCOPTER. But They have to get something happening.
Just how important is this engagement, OJ versus Vinny upstairs? Whoever wins will have full top floor and therefore vertical control. Vinny gets the better of him, but meanwhile on site, ROFLCOPTER spring into action. Boydie takes down Emo. Just 2 wildcard players left. And Pat has been forced so far back. Vinny, though, on for the flank. In through Memorial, takes down Hotshot. And now the onus is on ROFLCOPTER to get this diffuser planted. Pats doubles down. Wildcard have found 3 rounds in a row.
Beautiful round from Wildcard. Honestly, they never overextended, never really gave ROFLCOPTER too much. And even though ROFLCOPTER were doing a lot of great things, you know, that push to site at the end, it worked out really well. I honestly thought that it was going to be at least a post plant, but Vinny on that flank, he just timed everything perfectly. You know, he could have overextended and tried to compete with OJ a little earlier vertically. He didn't. It ultimately came out on top of that gunfight, and that was really what swung the tide for Wildcard, and that is yet another round consecutively for them. They are really rolling forward here, and ROFLCOPTER, they need to get this helicopter off the ground if they're going to save the series, Dev.
It certainly feels like they haven't been flying too high at all. Chugging along just barely. Need some repairments made to their propellers or what have you. Whatever is going wrong needs some attention for ROFLCOPTER, because Wildcard, I mean, they're looking, I would say Wildcard aren't looking like astoundingly amazing. They just look kind of good, like good Wildcard. This is not reinventing the wheel. This is just Wildcard not making mistakes.
Definitely looks in that better form that we saw them in the OTN promo relegations as well. They looked a lot cleaner than we'd seen them in the regular season in that tournament, and that's carried through here. So it's really good to see that there's actually some consistency starting to come in for the roster. And look, if they continue this form and they go on to win this series, I think it's a really good omen for their year ahead. You know, they can really finally shake off 2021. They can focus ahead for a fresh year. They've had some decent wins that they actually looked good in. I think it would be quite a poetic way to really start the year for them.
And as we are essentially culminating the 2021 season, very, very soon, we're going to be talking about the off-season transfer window. After 6 invitational, teams will be permitted to make as many roster changes as they like. They could actually ditch their entire team, bring in 5 new players, as long as 2 of those players have played at that regional level in the previous season. And you know, either of these teams could do that if they desire to do so. I'm sure that there'll be a lot of speculation to the roster shuffles, but if Wildcard managed to pull themselves together, surely you have to wonder, maybe they got to stick with this core. They're the ones who redeemed themselves and clawed back from the depths of the pit where they have lain for a whole year now.
Definitely always a tough predicament in those situations, whether you really have the appetite to rock the boat. But rock the boat is not what ROFLCOPTER are doing here. Emorin has found the opening pick, and that's Boydie. Again, he's been fairly influential for ROFLCOPTER, quite a sharp player. And they've been shutting him down very well so far in Villa. And this is just ROFLCOPTER constantly being stuck in difficult situations on this map.
So Milo's still got a flank position. ROFLCOPTER trying to toil downstairs as well. Try and take down these players on site through the vertical game, but they have made little to no headway at this point. Pat still in this oh-so-powerful position on the main stairs. Getting a little bit of pressure, but he's still got 2 gas babes left. Vinny has full map control and an ability to peek out over the top. That's a bit of damage, I think, but Emo's found a double. This player, he's been on the roster for so long. People have criticized him, but you cannot question the results that this man puts in. Wildcard now a 4v3 as ROFLCOPTER have finally found their first pick, and Pat still holding on to the goddamn main stairs.
Yeah, they've finally been able to push him off, and there we go. ROFLCOPTER evening that man count with Geo taken out. And look, a 3v3, not much time, but it's still a winnable position for ROFLCOPTER. It's not going to be easy, but they're going to have to funnel into sight and try and hit these picks.
Now it comes down to Wildcard, holding down the fort. A lovely shot from Vinny, traded back, hot shot, but Emorin finds his 3rd on for the round. It's only OJ left and he's chasing. Can Emorin find the 4K? He does. Nobody questioned this man.
Yeah, look, Immorin's certainly a scary player when he's really on point. I still remember years ago, I am literally talking like 3-4 years ago, he was one of the most feared players in the Oceanic region. He was hitting insane shots, often through walls, through doors, you name it, absolute insane flicks. So it's great to see him still up and firing, and up and firing is Wildcard. This 4-0 lead is starting to look really commanding at this point, and they are very close now to booking a spot back in APAC South.
An exciting prospect. Wildcard have now met part the course on defensive Villa 4 rounds, and if they could lose the remaining 2 and still go into their attacks with confidence that they can close this out in regulation time, that spells a pretty grim sentence for ROFLCOPTER now, who need to pull tooth and nail to bring this back, get in the game. The Wildcard are looking very, very good. This is the Wildcard that we have been waiting all year to see, and it seems like every single moment that they have had of greatness, their various wins in APAC South and OCN that we've said, hey, it looks like Wildcard are back. Shortly following that, it feels like every time there's been another disappointment. Well, not this time.
Attacker's objective is to defuse the bomb.
Not this time indeed. Certainly got themselves in such a good spot right now. Not let this one slip. 3 rounds away, in fact. And the job is done, but that means that they still have to put in the work, and ROFLCOPTER, they need to try and turn this around. Look, if they manage to get 2 rounds in a row right here, right now, a 2-4 half is not all lost. That is actually fairly on par. It just doesn't feel likely given the form that's been presented at this point.
Just a lot of these rounds, even if they are coming down to 2v2s, 2v1s, Wildcard just seems to always have the docket. It doesn't feel like ROFLCOPTER has been all that close. That said, it could change at any moment. Here they come, clearing out some of the util. I believe that deployable shield should have been destroyed. The flash indeed, followed by the Gon 6 clears out the Vulcan shield that Immorin was holding behind, but he still holds that angle confidently with the Vector, and we've seen what he can do. Last round of 4K, and surely many more on the way. Oh,
for sure. Oh, sharp shot from OJ though. That's you did jinx him. You really cursed him. Very unfortunate there. But look, this is a good start for ROFLCOPTER now on the round. Opening kill going in their favor. Boydie just tussling with Geo on the Astro stairs. But importantly here, you can really see quite a bit of off-site presence from Wildcard still maintained. And we saw that work out so well for them on the previous attempt of this site. That being said, ROFLCOPTER, they have changed things up pretty heavily. They're really pushing directly from Master, and now they've been able to get that really big pick on the Pat.
Yeah, Pat bit off a little bit more than he could chew, but Geo's now on the stairs. No C4, but he's got the Org, and Kakin can put him down. 4v2 now, the best chance ROFLCOPTER have had to take a round in this map so far. Vinny, though, he's been very keen, very angled on his shot so far. Poised now to peak. Milo as well, about to feel a hell of a lot of pressure, droned out, and now the X-Kairos as well exposing his position. ROFLCOPTER need to make good on the advantage they've established.
Yeah, it feels like it's just a matter of time now. They're about to absolutely collapse onto this position, and here they are, the swing, but Milo comes out on top. Vinny doesn't hold up just as well, and Hotshot will close it. Finally for ROFLCOPTER, they have a round on the board.
Such a pivotal round at that. Kakin stepped it up on the Lion, and ROFLCOPTER pulled their heads in and locked 1 round on their attacking side. A chance to get a second now and end this half at an acceptable position. Move on to their defense with some confidence. That is ROFLCOPTER ending a drought of 7 rounds, 6 in a row. They lost, if you count this map and the previous one. Wildcard, their momentum, no doubt slightly stilted, but I'm sure they can have immense confidence now knowing their significant advantage here, especially considering this is ROFLCOPTER's map pick after all.
Yeah, that's right. And I think it's a really scary position that ROFLCOPTER have kind of got themselves in here. Like, look, they might have already been at peace with the fact that map 1 was going to be challenging as Wildcard's pick on Coastline, sure, but you pointed out earlier, because this is ROFLCOPTER's pick, Wildcard got the 2 sides, they've chosen defense. Very frequently, we've seen the defense kind of be the favored side statistically on Villa. So they could also be, I don't know, I wouldn't call it at peace, but they might have already known, you know, like this attack half is going to be tough. It's all about how they can bounce back on the defense, but it's always about keeping in touch at that point. Like if you're looking at a 1-5 scoreline and you've got to try and come back from that, and considering the stakes, it's a really tough ask, honestly. It's really tough.
Objective is to locate a bomb and defuse it.
Yeah, look, it's not easy for ROFLCOPTER to go anywhere from here, but they've shown that they can get back into the game. Sometimes it takes a while to get into the swing of things, especially when that pressure is up. We talked a lot about frustration as well. You consider that last map was a little bit hopeless for them, and that the opening round of this game ended up with a loss that I'm sure they are blaming on lag. It's something that's hard to come back from. We talk about the game being so much powered by your mental state. That is really 95% of Rainbow Six is how positive you are. And yeah, obviously your skill comes into it, but mental strength and the ability to retain a positive outlook and focus is in itself a skill.
Definitely is, and a hard one to master. And ROFLCOPTER, they have a short learning curve. They haven't mastered that yet, because this is certainly a very high pressure situation for them. First minute in though, made some really good presence horizontally, again highlighting what you said earlier. Villa is that kind of map where you can kind of ignore the vertical play. You might go for a dedicated horizontal push, and it looks like that's what ROFLCOPTER is going to do here, as Boydie's advanced to a fairly aggressive position towards the kitchen area. Hotshot backing up as well, and they're going to get some nice line of sights in through to Memorial. I think a bit late on that Kai trick as well.
Oh.
Shot off from above,
I think it
actually.
was. Milo must have shot it, yeah. Really nice teamwork there. Wildcard calling out everything that they would need to. I believe Boydie just managed to nade off the Electric Claw, but another Electric Claw. The juggle goes through, and the second claw should now be destroyed. Emo doesn't have any more opportunities. Boydie's also going to contest the angle. This is unusual. Oh, hello. Where did you come from, Milo? There's no way. Boydie was down to 1 HP and still won that fight.
Yeah, a bit of an unfortunate whiff there for Milo, and that's again another round of ROFLCOPTER. They've found that opening pick. It really puts them in a much stronger position. Vinny, though, he has retaken his position above and gotten aggressive towards ROFLCOPTER and gets a beautiful shot onto OJ. It's at least a trade back for Wildcard to try and hold their position in the rounds.
This is huge for Vinny. He has so much map control now as the rest of ROFLCOPTER turn their attention to the site. Now Wildcard can spring into action, but wow. Wedables, fantastic work. Pac goes for a run, it exposes his position, but Gio lands the headshot. It looks like we might be ending the half in a 5-1 for Wildcard, unless if ROFLCOPTER can pull something out of nothing. Just Boydie and Wedables left, but Gio's having a ripper. And Pat finishes off the round. Wildcard now up 5-1 on the second map of the series. So close to getting the job done.
Just looked like there was some really great team comms in that round from Wildcard, and just some really good, coordination. They didn't overpeak in that final moment. You always see it. Final 10 seconds, it can get a little hectic, a little chaotic, especially in high pressure matches such as this one. But no, they all played it very patiently. You saw the kitchen and the laundry peaks coming out at fairly similar times. They ensured that they could at least trade those picks to close that round out. So this is really great from Wildcard. 5-1 lead, very strong, and 2 rounds away from advancing to APAC South 2022.
Pressure mounting for ROFLCOPTER.
Attackers
A 4-2 would have been forgivable, but this is their map pick. Now they're on defense, yes, the favored side, but 5 rounds in a row? Even 6, I mean 6 rounds in a row would have to be a flawless defense half in order to win this in regulation. Even overtime is not a sure bet. And even then, ROFLCOPTER winning this map just means pushing to map 3. Wildcard are so close. Of course, you wouldn't want to tell them that if you were in the call with them right now. The last thing you would want to say is, hey guys, just 2 more rounds, then you do it. You don't want to add unnecessary pressure to them. But at the same time, it creeps in for both of these teams, right? For Wildcard, it's a tickle of excitement. For ROFLCOPTER, it's impending dread.
Attackers must locate and defuse the bomb.
Definitely not a great position to be in for ROFLCOPTER in particular, but yes, even Wildcard, you know, they are winning, but they still have to close these next couple of rounds out. And look, as weird as it's going to say, it's still hard to count ROFLCOPTER out. I feel like the amount of times I've seen 6-0 halves in particular on Villa, it's certainly a thing that can be common. Similar to Clubhouse, you know, I remember there was a time where it felt like you would really often see those defense reverse sweeps on Clubhouse. Now look, I can't say I can recall one in recent times, but it can definitely happen. And look, there's a lot riding on this, so you know ROFLCOPTER aren't going to go down without a fight.
Well, now we'll test Wildcard's attacking prowess. We saw in the first half how difficult it was for ROFLCOPTER. Now, Wildcard, a lot of focus here on the study side. 3 players on the study balcony and/or balcony with a window. Starting to dismantle some of the setup. Boydie still holding onto his deployable shield atop of main stairs. Kakin playing the same position we saw from Pat with the smoke as well to delay time. For me, Milo has to have a big impact and also needs to be careful that OJ surely is going to make too much noise. Milo, this should be a freebie. This is huge now. Wildcard essentially have been gifted half of the map control and Pat is in? Sorry, what? Let's go back. Can we just go back? Rewind. Let me see that again, because Wildcard, in the space of 10 seconds, have found themselves inside with the plant down. A 2-on-2 now, as ROFLCOPTER lean on Hotshot and Kakin to retake. Pat finished off now. The revive from Milo, not quite enough, as he will have to hold in the post. 25 seconds. Here comes the swing from Hotshot. Doesn't check his corners. And Wildcard are so close that they can taste it. Kakin has got to do everything he can in the 1v2. The gas is some cover, but it is not enough. Wildcard have found themselves 1 round away from redemption.
I feel like it's more than tasting it at this point. It is right on the precipice of being a realization. Wildcard, they are in such a good position. 5 rounds consecutively is what ROFLCOPTER needs. That is, in fact, more than they have won in this entire series so far. I think it is going to be a very difficult ask for ROFLCOPTER, but hey, again, don't want to write them off. We just saw a 5-1 defense half. Could see it again, but the form from Wildcard, fantastic. A great read to get the quick plant down. We saw it from them on Coastline. First attack round, they got a quick plant. Maybe that's the pattern that they just want to do now.
Oh, I think that just the ability to identify an opportunity and just go for it. That is something that this Wildcard roster, if they're capable of, is amazing. Also, I just want to say, I know that when they picked up Milo, one of the big things, obviously a great fragger, one of the big things they wanted was that additional voice. The team has been struggling since the departure of Diesel. Like, that is the storyline we've been talking about. Diesel was like a control operator in a massive control room with all these different panels, and each one of those panels was one of the players that he could manipulate. And all of these players, Pat, Vinny, Geo, Emo, they were fantastic at being the instruments, but it was Diesel the mastermind behind it. Now they had to learn to operate without him. Pat taking on that really vocal role. And for Milo to be flanking the other side of the map, not necessarily part of that main push, it shows that the rest of Wildcard is not necessarily relying on him to identify those opportunities. I'm sure Pat said, hey guys, I can plant. You play here, you play there, let's go for it. And that is phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely great stuff from Wildcard. I think it was just really good too. Like, they clearly had that plan. And Milo went deep on the other side of site because they knew they could potentially get flanked back, peeked from stat if they all kind of rushed from one direction. Milo knew he could get that pick onto OJ, and as soon as he did, it was on. You saw, he confirmed the kill, hit the Finker boost, and that was it, plant going down. So look, Wildcard are certainly on their game with how they are reading these. That is unfortunately not going to be a good frag grenade, and unfortunately for them as well, OJ, he's gotten the better of Vincia to finally get an opening kill for ROFLCOPTER on the defense.
Geo is so tempted here. What he doesn't realize is a 3-way crossfire onto that doorway. 2 players, well, 1 in kitchen, 1 in dining, and of course 1 above on the vertical angle. Gio thinks he may be in the clear, but he is most certainly not. And he may well have to give up on this position. Imorin likely to put some pressure now on Laundry, but Wildcard starting to fall apart. ROFLCOPTER might have their first defense here, a 5 versus 3.
Well, Milo looking past.
Yeah, right.
That was a bit of a weird round. It just never looked anything good for Wildcard. But hey, ROFLCOPTER, let's go. That was a strong round, a flawless one at that. Again, like I was basically saying, Wildcard, not a look in at all on that one. And that can be concerning. They only need one to secure the series. A lot of pressure in the camp of Wildcard. Now, you could argue it's the same for ROFL. But at this point, it's kind of like a nothing to lose situation. I mean, of course, there's the stakes of the match to lose, but they're so far behind. You can really summon some weird strengths from teams in these kinds of moments.
Well, no doubt, like you said, I mean, good stuff for ROFLCOPTER. No doubt that's a booster to their confidence. And they played that super well. Those crossfires were perfect. I think Wildcard played into it a lot, more than they should have, for sure. I don't know whether I'm just reading into this a bit too much, but I feel like, particularly watching Gio, who was playing on those pantry stairs, like he had a nade, he tried to toss it under the barricade to destroy the Banshee at the barricade at the same time. It just looked like Wildcard were getting a bit antsy. It looked like they acknowledged, particularly Gio, it looked like he was thinking, oh, we're just one round off. Like, I could just push in right now. Like, we could just take this. I reckon I could go for this. And I think Wildcard need to stay humble for a bit longer. Yes, they have such a significant advantage, but I have seen bigger comebacks. Yeah.
Yeah, there is always the threat of that. And look, I feel like, similar to the whole team kill curse, Wildcard, one of the worst teams ever, I can say, without a doubt, for team killing each other. I feel like I've also seen so many times them get reverse swept or lose huge advantages. So hopefully this isn't another one of those momentous moments. But maybe it is. It's 4 rounds for ROFLCOPTER. They are on the defense on Villa. It is totally possible. Now, Wildcard in this entry, Milo lurking solo over on pantry stairs. Looks like he's got the hunt for OJ, and sorry, it's not pantry stairs. He's come up from the wine cellar. Now towards mud. This could catch ROFL off guard, but a default was left up, and that's just not going to be a thing.
Love this little game that we see OJ and Milo playing. We saw this just last round, or 2 rounds ago. Milo was the one who got the better in that case. At the moment, it's ROFLCOPTER fairly passive in a lot of their positions. No doubt cautious of Wildcard's rush that, of course, we saw from them on the previous Aviator Games attack. Far in a field roam. This is going to be a bit of a game of cat and mouse here between these two players.
Ooh. This is gonna be a full round tease, but in the meantime, Milo's just hit a banger nade onto Wettables. So even though he didn't find OJ, he still has found that opening kill. Now OJ, he hasn't aggressed towards pantry, so Milo is still safe at this point. More importantly though, we're almost 2 minutes deep here. The Wildcard in this attack. There's still a lot of progress to be made, and OJ is still off site. And of course, let's remind you, the site is Aviator Games. It is not at all over on that north side where a lot of this tension has been.
Yeah, look, Milo being separate from the rest of the team is actually a really good thing. I mean, he can use his utility while being on the other side of the map. Thanks to Finka. Now he's made his way over, though. He's really cautious, just watching, waiting to catch players off guard. The second grenade kill of the round. Vinny finds Cake in. Milo's about to get fed OJ, and it's all happening for Wildcard. ROFLCOPTER desperately pushed through. Pat goes down. That's the diffuser. Boydie may be able to save the round for his team, but it's a daring dance for him to get back to site. Now him and Hotshot will try to hold on. There's no time left. Boydie finds another one. 3v2 for Wildcard. They are so close ROFLCOPTER will try their best to hold on. Hotshot sees one. Boydie's found another. Geo to clutch in the 1v1, but Hotshot's got it. ROFLCOPTER stay alive for at least one more round.
Unbelievable. Great effort from the ROFLCOPTER defenders. I think in particular Boydie, I didn't quite catch how many he got, but very instrumental in that final push from Wildcard to try and close it out. They held so strong. And now they've been able to put 2 back-to-back rounds. And after that one just looking so strong for Wildcard, that was a 2v5, right, Dev?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
It's astonishing. I cannot believe it. By all rights, this game should be over. And with every unthinkable round like that, ROFLCOPTER is building momentum and Wildcard feel it slipping away. Wildcard can't take for granted that they found match point early. I mean, by all rights, ROFLCOPTER should probably be seeing a 3-3 or a 4-2 half on their defense. This is their map pick and they're on the favored side now. But Wildcard stunted expectations with that rush in the first round of their attack, and they got match point much earlier than we would have thought. Now ROFLCOPTER having to fight down from a 6-2 deficit, or it was a 6-1 deficit. 5 rounds in a row isn't looking so impossible now that they've done the first 2.
Especially not in the fashion that they managed to turn and win that previous round. I mean, look, it wasn't convincing at all from ROFLCOPTER. It looked like it was Wildcards through and through. But to still hold on in a moment like that and turn it is a huge deal. And conversely, I mean, I don't want to call it early, but maybe a bit of a tilter for Wildcard. I feel like some of those players would have been on the edge of celebrating in that 2v5 moment. And for that to have not been the celebration, the way that really messes with your brain is not a great feeling, whether you consider that tilting or not. It's a bit jarring.
Getting a bit scared now, not gonna lie. Definitely felt like a safe bet for Wildcard 2 rounds ago. 6-1, not something you often see turn around the other direction. The 6-3, it's a different equation.
A bomb has been located.
So Vinny on the Twitch not working out, trying to get the mute jammer. Actually just gets muted in the end anyway. Yes, kitchen dining defense here from ROFLCOPTER. Wildcard looks like they want to get some map control presence, and that is very suited to their attack style for sure. But they are going to be efficient because this could take a lot of time. It's something you mentioned earlier, Dev. If you really want to get full map control on Villa, you've got to be time efficient. It can take a lot of time to drone that out, follow it up, try and get those entry picks, or at least push those players back to site.
The pressure's on for ROFLCOPTER. Not only are they staring down series point, elimination point, but this is now a 3rd different bomb site they've had to defend. If they can manage this, though, that's a huge turning point because they have proven to everyone watching and to themselves that they can win all 3 bomb sites they need to: Stat, Aviator, and Kitchen Dining. It comes down to the Roam, which is now fallen. ROFLCOPTER decide not to waste any manpower, not to potentially lose a player upstairs. They actually fall back and let Wildcard have that real estate.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting difference between the two teams. Instead of trying to actually hard hold it and control those vertical positions, ROFL, they do not want to even risk losing those bodies. So they have all flooded back, and they're actually all on site, basically. Wedables is the only one that's gone for a bit of a run down in the cellar. But outside of that, ROFLCOPTER setting themselves up for some nice, tight positions on site. And also, Wildcard setting themselves up for what is going to be, you know, this final 30 seconds squishy kind of execute, even if Geo manages to find a couple of picks at these vertical positions.
The verticality is going to be everything here. When you have players hiding on like this, the attackers have to utilize that to their advantage. Pat finds the opener. There's just 20 seconds left. And Wildcard, they're about to try and execute at the end of this round. ROFLCOPTER, though, they do an amazing thing, and just out of nowhere, Boydie swings the corner for 3. And just like that, that's 3 rounds in a row to come back now for ROFLCOPTER. 3 different bomb sites on their defense. That 6-1 match point for Wildcard has now slipped 3 rounds in a row to a 6-4.
That's what we're saying, Dev. You know, it happens on Villa. It's happened in the past. You can certainly lose these kinds of leads. And Wildcard, it's starting to scare me, I have to say. What looked initially like maybe a bit of antsiness is starting to look like some concern. You know, they took a long time clearing out that map control and a very unconvincing push towards site. While Pat did get the opener, Boydie just being able to swing a single doorway and get a 3K is certainly concerning. And look, pressure is just got to be mounting on Wildcard now. The momentum has totally flipped on its head.
And for Wildcard, you've got to wonder, are they now playing not necessarily to win, but to not lose? There's a big difference in the attitude there, isn't it? Wildcard, you got to think, you got to believe that they were so conscious of the fact that they had match point, and they still have match point. I feel like something flipped as soon as they had match point. Right at the moment where you would think that they're in an advantage. By the way, they were at an advantage. It was a 5v2 in round 9. ROFLCOPTER managed to come back from. If Wildcard keep letting it slip like this, we'll end up in overtime before long. And ROFLCOPTER will have been thrown a lifeline.
And that's when it gets even scarier for Wildcard. Can you imagine facing down a 6-1 match point, securing your spot back in APAC, blowing this lead, and then potentially losing the map after that, and still having to come back for that decider, map 3? That is, look, you got to do some mental Olympics to kind of get your head around that one and say you're not tilted or not let it affect you. That's tough, but hey, it's a part of the game. It's part of competing. Wildcard, they're here to win. They've got to dig deep to close this one out because ROFLCOPTER, they're certainly making a big statement for how they can bring this game back.
Absolutely, and Wildcard have also got to do a great job on this particular round right now. And can whoever right now on our analyst desk that is editing my match tracker and saying that Wildcard win this round, can you please stop that? Because you are jinxing them. I don't know, someone just changed the result. It was probably Guz or Xenos, you cheeky freaky. What I was going to say before I got really distracted by our co-workers is that last time Wildcard attacked this bomb site, it was actually a flawless round for ROFLCOPTER. I remember that. Gio was pushing from where he is right now, and there was that 3-way crossfire. So at least Wildcard has started a bit stronger than that. They've been given a little bit more leeway by ROFLCOPTER this time.
Yeah, still a little bit of the coordination falling down there, though. I mean, Gio kind of blind nading in through kitchen before the drone came through. Didn't really get anything. As you can see, there's no players here. And it's burned a lot of time. Like, let's look at the clock here. Almost 2 whole minutes. Wildcard, they've just taken his control below. But this isn't where side is. Stat trophy. They've got to really get moving here. They've got to try and put some pressure and destabilize some of these on-site positions.
No engagement yet, still 50 seconds left. This is what we saw in the previous round. Wildcard taking just about forever to achieve anything. Still no breach on the master wall. Still Electroclaws to defend it. However, a C4 does go missing. An Emo is springing to action here, burning through any of the catching utility. Gio's nade goes out over the top, but doesn't find anything.
Just under 30 seconds. Milo finds the opening in through stat. It's traded at least.
Oh my God.
Trying to hang in this.
But now it's just Pat. How did that happen? You blink and you miss it once again, ROFLCOPTER. They really shouldn't be given an opportunity to get back in this game. We were at 6-1. Now it's 6-5. The final round of regulation. The final chance for Wildcard to lock it in before ROFLCOPTER push overtime.
Just, yep. Getting very scared here, Dev, but it's exciting as well at the same time. This has been such a fantastic comeback from ROFLCOPTER. Talked about the mental pressure they would have been under, looking at 1-6. Think about they've battled all year to get to this promotion spot. And finally here, lose the first map in a pretty poor fashion, and then to be on 1-6 on Villa. Like, that's not easy to come to terms with to keep yourself in the game. But they have 5-6 now. They're 1 round away from forcing us to OT. It's actually insane.
And can I just say, Wildcard calling their tactical timeout right now. God damn, it's about bloody time. Could have done that 2-3 rounds ago. As soon as they lost that 5v2, I feel like that's when they should have called it. Just have a second to go. Look, guys, just whatever. That round's done. Next up, we know where we'll be attacking. Let's just do it right. They've left it to the 11th hour now. No second chances. They've used them all up 4 times in a row. As the timer resumes, Wildcard have one last opportunity before ROFLCOPTER can really make this game their own.
This is a big round. I'm sure everybody watching at home can feel the tension right now. Wildcard, they have been 1 round away from taking this entire series. What feels like an eternity at this point, but ROFLCOPTER have been coming at them like a freight train. This reverse sweep has just been building and building and building. We might be seeing overtime. This is such a big round. And last time we saw Aviator Games, that was the 2v5 throw from Wildcard that certainly should have iced the cake for them.
Man, you got to feel like ROFLCOPTER will absolutely be really feeling good right now. Having a laugh, back on their stride. I think they've got a good read on how Wildcard are playing as well. And frustratingly, watching Wildcard here, they've just gotten slower and slower as this half goes on. Isn't it ironic that, the very first round Wildcard actually went for what was essentially a rush strat? It wasn't, at the very start of the round, but they just identified pretty quickly that they could do a rush plan. They worked phenomenally. They won it. Ever since then, the rounds have just gotten slower and slower. And the previous 2 just gone by for Wildcard, my God, they were so slow. I think it was about 25 seconds left on the clock before anything actually happened.
Yeah, it's certainly something that you do see with Wildcard. I mean, we talked a little bit about earlier with their general kind of attack style has been criticized for its slowness in the past. And when they start to feel the pressure, you do see them kind of crawl back into that much slower pace. They try to be even more cautious because they're feeling that pressure. And it just results in those slower, I don't even know whether you call them steadier attacks, because it doesn't produce the most positive
steady
results.
For 2.5 minutes, and then it's not very steady at all.
Exactly.
But look, we do see a change of pace here for Wildcard. They're actually going, for the first time, for a full map clear. Master across. Previously, it was always very study-centric with just Milo lurking, gradually trying to get to that position at top red stairs and be the backstab into ROFLCOPTER. Now Wildcard to change things around. Nice way for Gio to take down that camera. Grandfather clock downstairs. Starving some info for ROFLCOPTER. But then now the real issue comes for Wildcard in study and top main stairs. They're not investing time in clearing that. ROFLCOPTER should retain control.
Definitely should, and you can see it here. ROFLCOPTER, again, they're not contesting a lot of this presence from Wildcard. But I kind of argue they don't really have to. Yet again, it's almost 2 minutes in. There's not a whole lot of pressure onto the site here. ROFLCOPTER can certainly hold these positions and just eat up the time while Wildcard really figure out where they're going to progress to. Voidy looks very keen. It looks like they've read into this rotate from Wildcard. He's really hunting for that opening pick.
And surely if Pat plays on the balcony here, Wildcard can pull off a vault plan.
They could.
Attackers have located
Wettables, though, on the flank. Are those flank drones being watched by Wildcard? Are they ready for this? I think Emarin's drone may have caught the edge of that, but he's going to rotate back. Gio gets that opening pick, Dev. Is this it? Can Wildcard finally secure this series?
They've come down to the final breath, the final player from ROFLCOPTER. The nade comes through, a gas goes out, and Vinny finds one from study. Wettables still at top main. It's a 5v3, but we have been here before. Vinny! He gets Boydie! It's just Kaken and Wettables left. The diffuser is being planted. But with that, Wettables and Kaken, the newest members of the team, there's no time. All they've got to do is deny the diffuser. It's just Kaken left. 1v2 in the post plant. Wildcard is so close. Gio, 1 HP. And the dream of all the Wildcard fans out there, it rests on his shoulders. Kakin has brought this back from an impossible scenario. Can he clutch it now? He's got to defuse. 20 seconds ticking away. But Gio knows he's so low. He's only got one shot at it. And oh my God! Kakin to clutch it! A 4K! Overtime! And ROFLCOPTER are still in this goddamn game!
Defenders win.
Oh my gosh. Again, I think that was a 2v5 clutch. Once more. But look, Kakin with the quad. Absolutely huge for ROFLCOPTER. We're in overtime. 5 rounds consecutively. That helicopter is well and truly off the ground now, Dev. They're starting to fly high. Not too high yet. But Wildcard, they have lost such a big lead. Such a big chance.
To think this is only map 2. ROFLCOPTER have certainly made a statement here. They go onto their defense, where they have just won 5 rounds in a row. Wildcard have been starved for attack round wins. They've just lost 2 5 versus 2 rounds during that time. And ROFLCOPTER, with that 1v1, will be absolutely pumped. You know Kakin, right? We see his face cams in OCN. There is nobody who gets behind it like he does. He gets absolutely hyped. ROFLCOPTER are having a laugh right now. They'll be laughing so hard that they are crying. And you know who else will be crying? Unfortunately, without the laughter, it's going to be rough. Oh, it's going to be Wildcard. I mean, after 6-1 up, now staring down overtime, now on the unfavored side Raven as well, on top of that. Oh man, I don't even know where we go from here.
I mean, on top of it, it's not even just that they have managed to lose the lead. It's that so many of those rounds were clutches from ROFLCOPTER. In particular, those 2 Aviator Games rounds. I think if Wildcard do not win this, it will forever haunt them. It will seriously forever haunt them. Like, they should have well and truly put this to bed. 2 versus 5 twice on that site. But that is how it goes with Siege. The job's not done until it's done. You cannot give your opponents a single look in for those clutches. And man, what an exciting series this has turned into.
Look, I tell you, spam those ROFLCOPTERs, stack the deck, because these teams need absolutely every inch that you can get them. ROFLCOPTER now hold on for dear life. As Wildcard try for a 6th time in a row to attack after 5 failures. And they're looking to take downstairs control. OJ here on the receiving end. The pre-fire comes through. He's got such a strong position, but Milo gets him. An opening kill goes in the hands of Wildcard.
Looks like they might be keen for one of those mid-round plants or just some kind of quicker execute, because you saw a lot of Wildcard players stacked up outside pantry window. 2 players stacked in laundry. They've had that opening onto OJ, so look, it's potentially possible here. But you can see ROFLCOPTER, they've got so much presence. What am I talking about? My God, I thought it was kitchen. End me now, Dev.
Mate, it's been a long game. I don't blame you. At this point, though, I mean, Wildcard have only done essentially step 1, which is take downstairs control. Yeah, they've got map control, but there's only a minute left.
There's only a minute left, so I'll rephrase what I was trying to say.
Take 2.
Take 2. Time is starting to not be on Wildcard's side, but at least they have a man advantage right now. Certainly feels like at this point the man advantage does not count for anything with Wildcard's attacks. They have to continue this. Vinny looking to get a big nade from below, and he's just missed it onto Boydie. 40 seconds. Can Wildcard try and get back to match point and get their defense round?
Take a deep breath, because it's about to happen. And Milo finds the opening nade. Boydie goes down. Another 5v3 for Wildcard. We've seen this before too many times. A 5v2. Hotshot holds on. There's no way. It's just Wettables now. And another 5 versus 2 becomes a 1v1. Milo has to win it. Wettables just on the other side. I cannot believe it. 6 rounds in a row. ROFLCOPTER have come back from a 6-1 deficit to find match point.
Oh my gosh. Starting to get, I guess, a little painful at this point, Dev. Not just for us, but I'm sure for Wildcard it's beyond painful. That is so many attack rounds with such significant man advantages. Just whittled away in 15 seconds to lose the round. As you said, 6 in a row, ROFLCOPTER. They are now on match point on map 2. It is their map pick. They could push this to the 3rd map of the series, which is Clubhouse. And it all comes down to an Aviator Games defense from Wildcard.
Bombs from being defused by attackers.
Far out. Don't think Wildcard have ever found themselves in a more stressful position. This roster has been through hell, and they're living it right now. 6 rounds in a row, they've just fallen. 3 of which were 5v2s. It is unreal. I think that's a record of the most 5 versus 2 situations lost in a single game. ROFLCOPTER could not be happier right now. The propellers are spinning, and well, they are well off the ground, building some serious momentum towards map 3. One more round will be enough. And look, to be honest, ROFLCOPTER doesn't even have to win here on their attack. They'll get another go of defense in the next round. Wildcard, if they can win this defense, which they are favored to do, and they were perfect, 2 out of 2 attempts on this bomb site on their defensive side. If they can do that, it breaks that momentum. It breaks the 6-round losing streak and gives them a flash of hope that they can lock it out in the final round of map 2.
All right, here we go. ROFLCOPTER. Can they force this to map 3 on this round? Of course, there is still a 1-round buffer, you could say, in overtime for Wildcard to try and bring this back. But hey, I don't know which way it's going to go right here. We haven't seen a Wildcard defense for what feels like forever at this point. But they are finally back on the defense. And look, it was a very strong defense, half from them. Of course, 5-1. That's how it went. Aviator Games, they won both times. So they've got to be feeling confident in this one.
Good map control now for ROFLCOPTER. Masteros take. Not something we've seen a whole lot of this game. Here comes. Big engagement. Open is the wall. Over goes the nade. Fortunately, Vinny finds the protection of some magnets. Another nade to follow. Vinny safely back down. Or is he? Just dodges. Minute 30 left, and ROFLCOPTER kicking themselves that they still haven't taken Vinny down.
Yeah, definitely would have been a very helpful opening pick for ROFLCOPTER. But yet to be. They're doing a really good job getting a nice map control here on the north side and checking out through 90. As now their control, as is classical. That makes things a bit squishier for Wildcard. They're now stuck on site, restricted to site. Could use study. Other than that, they're going to have to drop below and play vertical or rely on Vinny having an impact from that flank.
The breach on the vault wall will be huge. Not only is that, oh no, the denial, the impact grenade. Geo may have just saved this for Wildcard. That said, there's no more left, and unless Milo can get into a position to use his C4, that breach is guaranteed. Hotshot now can move in. He has the line of sight and also the ability to move on forward, but Wildcard find the opening pick. Geo taking down Hotshot. The Lion roars, and Wildcard are locked in place with 30 seconds left. Boydie goes on through, but Wildcard, they might be able to stop this drought. Another 5 versus 2 on their side, but don't let it slip. Not again. It's only Kakin left. He's won a 1v4 just before. But with 10 seconds left on the attacking side, there is surely no way he can make this happen. We're going to need another round to settle it. There is no way Wildcard wants to go to map 3. They want to end it right here.
Defense OP, but look, really good round from Wildcard. Much needed. I mean, look, yeah, you could say it's defender-sided. We've seen so many defense rounds won on the map here. But at the end of the day, Wildcard just weathered 6 rounds consecutively against them when they were on match point for a majority of those. They've been able to weather that. They've been able to finally get a round of their own. They've brought it to the final round possible on this map. It at least neutralizes a bit of momentum. They just need one clean attack here, Dev. And to be honest, it's not like their attacks have been awful. They have been in so many winnable positions. They just haven't been able to close out those rounds.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
I feel like I need a breath. I think I forgot to mute myself when I coughed just then as well. I accidentally muted myself to you, Raven, instead of muting myself to the stream. So just
oh, thanks, man.
letting you guys know at home, this is really taking its toll. This is, and we're just watching this game and shouting about it. Imagine actually being there, mouse and keyboard at the ready. Oh God, Rainbow Six is hands down the most stressful video game to play. I'm telling you. I've played my fair share of video games. Nothing touches Rainbow Six on the level of stress that it can induce, especially when you're playing for a spot
5 seconds.
in a regional professional level league. And that makes the difference between a career and no career for these players. ROFLCOPTER currently not getting paid anything. They don't have an organization. Should they make it into APAC South, there's no doubt that that will change and that they will become, in the true sense of the word, professional players. A Wildcard, what's to say for them if they get relegated here?
Certainly some very split storylines there in terms of the vibe of the teams and what the outcomes could be. You're right, this is a high pressure moment. I feel like I was saying to somebody the other day, I think it was Ryan, that, you know, Siege has certainly desensitized me to stressful, adrenaline-filled moments. I feel like I've experienced so many of those on so many occasions now that it's just the only symptom I get is sweat, so I can safely say I smell bad right now, as I'm sure these players probably do in their rooms playing this video game. But anyway, Dev, 2 minutes to go in the final overtime round. Is overtime match point. Wildcard, can they get an attack here? They've won 1 for the entire map. They only need 1 more to end the series.
But it's been a slow attack once again for Wildcard, and if there's anything that we can say has been a trend on their attacking side, it's been, well, speed. Very, very slow. Success rate. Very, very low. Time to change that. A nade goes through the opener for Wildcard. Vinny takes down Hotshot Boydie on for the trade. He gets it, but traded back once again. Emorin is there to support his teammate. And Wildcard have the man advantage. Dining and Kitchen is the bomb site, but ROFLCOPTER are not restricting themselves to that. They still have roamers at large, and Wildcard have a lot of work to do before they can call this GG.
Yeah, certainly much better than their previous attempts. They've got themselves in a really good position here. It is only 4 versus 3, but it's certainly going to make things a little bit more comfortable in their final moments to push towards site. Now, Wildcard, they need to be thorough here. They need to set themselves up for success, and Geo has put them in such a great position. 4 versus 2, Wettables above, and Wettables is all it is for ROFL.
It's gotta be it! It's gotta be now! Wettables do or die! Wildcard have the diffuser down from riches to rags and to riches once again! They have done it! The most turbulent year of their careers! And they are back, baby! No relegation! Wildcard, welcome to APAC South once again!
My oh my, what a series, what a map. Absolutely unreal performance from both teams. Honestly, a round of applause for both teams. That was absolutely insane. But Wildcard, they were up against it. They got themselves match point at 6-1, 5 rounds in a row, 6 rounds in a row. In fact, they faced match point against them, managed to get 2 OT rounds, and we be here, Wildcard back in APAC South. What an unreal